Hey everyone. Um, Sorry for the the late upload to this video. Um, I was working on editing the video the past couple of days, and unfortunately, as you can tell, I am in the hospital. But I'm all right. So, but while I'm here, got some downtime. I'm going to finish editing it and put it up for you guys. So. Um, then I'll start working on my next one, which will be either the flights, which I might not do because there's more to be revealed, or I might just wait until tomorrow to see Candace's episode, that which may or may not have some damning evidence explaining why Harpool and Erica Kirk both have ceased um, their campaign on their alibis. So stay tuned.
Watch how you talk when you talk about me, cause I'll come and take your life away. Many men, many, 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 many men wish death upon me. Lord, I don't cry no more, don't look to the sky no more, have mercy on me.
Alright, screw it. Okay, so here we are in the new year. And as I promised, I am going to be putting out videos oriented, focusing on key components to the investigation. I want to start off, of course, with why the narrative that they are pushing, the Fed slop narrative, does not work. Now, I'm going to be pulling a lot from Ian's response to Nick Fuentes because he did such a great job at doing so. And then I'm going to segue. So with this video, I'm going to do that, and then also focus on the shape charge with the work done by John Bray and on Trigger Smart for that. I have a lot of notes that I was writing. Unfortunately, I am not in my normal vehicle, and I wrote them on envelopes. So it may be a little. Just bear with me, and I promise I'm trying to get back to where I was, as far as being clear and not all over the place, not distracted. The holiday season is mostly over, at least the core of it. So I should be able to be a little bit more clear-minded, not as audibly flustered. So I want to, as I usually do, bring in Harpool's interview. And I'm not sure if I'm going to put clips from it into this, but Harpool's interview is the epitome of source work to relay back to, because his whole interview, which may be the reason why he is no longer employed by TPUSA, and whether it's true or not true, that they gave him the okay to even go on Sean Ryan, because that can't really take TPUSA or Erica's word for anything, because you've already seen how they have had Andrew Kovac say stuff, then burn him, then have him say stuff again, and I'm sure he's going to get burned again, especially for the Gary Paramount's interview, or not interview, Gary's video of where Gary put up the text message from Andrew Kovac, which, you know,
like we've all been saying, and I was having a ball laughing at who was I watching? I was watching Ian's video last night where he was watching Baron. It was like an Inception video, but audibly all three of us were laughing at the fact that their key guy clearly at this point, because everybody else is a laughing stock. I mean, he is a laughing stock as well, but it was so laughable that 2 days in a row he helped confirm majority of our theory with Fort Huachuca. One being Harpool's shit alibi, and which is even funnier because at first, before I really looked at the times, I completely dismissed it in general, because you can book a flight, pay for it, and just not go, for one. You can book a flight and be late for it and then have to get on a later flight, because I have done that. But the times almost line up anyways, so regardless of whether or not he did board the flight that he posted, it wouldn't make a difference, because the meeting ended at 7:30. He then left, then the SAM flight left Fort Huachuca and went to El Paso, Texas, like immediately after. So he would have easily made his flight. So sit on that. And but I want to go back to Harpool's interview, because again, another thing that I didn't really focus on when I did my breakdown, but once again, half-truths. Harpool mentions the chain of custody of mics. When Sean Ryan mentions exploding microphone theory, he quickly goes on, oh, the chain of custody. Well, duh. We are all right now investigating you jackasses, because we are to believe that you guys are implemented in this big conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. And with that being said, when your defense on dismissing a exploding microphone is solely that there was a chain of custody, a tight-knit chain of custody, yeah, no shit. You would want, if you got a microphone that has an explosive device in the battery, yeah, obviously the chain of custody would be very fucking tight, and it wouldn't be just a loosely passed around piece of equipment amongst employees. And obviously, I don't think every single person that's employed or had, that was employed for the event is in on it. So clearly you wouldn't want outsiders touching something that would be vital to your mission or your, assassination attempt to fail.
Do you know if his equipment is assessed before it's put on?
Yeah, it's actually held up there. That company that is a subcontracting company for them, they hold that all up there because, and they're around it, almost guarding it, because people will steal it. Mm-hmm. And it's inside the non-permeable zone.
Okay.
So nobody has access to it. It's set up in there. Even the boxes are kept in there. And so it's inside that. And so it's on them. And then you can see, they walk up and actually pin it on him. So that system is integritized also. Mm-hmm.
Another thing that Harpool mentioned was he cut off the shirt. Well, yeah, for the defibs, if that's the case. But you said that he had a heartbeat, so why would you need defibs? But it would make more sense to continue to scrap evidence that would expose your plot. I also want to point out that Harpool trying to cover for the lady who had two handoffs, at least in the video, while he was at his post. You mentioned Mintz, Well, there was a pile of lozengers on the floorboard of that SUV that just got auctioned off fairly quickly, while an open investigation and trial are going through, alongside debris. Now, obviously, if you're trying to pull, if you have a detonator and or arming device in your pocket, which is the same pocket you dumped whatever she gave you, your lozengers, clearly you would probably end up dumping all, if not a good amount of those lozengers on the ground while you're trying to pull whatever out of your pocket. So that would explain why there's, in that picture of the back of the SUV, there's a bunch in there on the floor, alongside the debris that probably came off of Charlie's shirt. I also want to go back. I know I already had mentioned it, but there's also when they were talking about the old guy who jumped up and said, I shot Charlie Kirk, and then later on went on to say he was just trying to let the shooter get away, which I don't understand. When you admit to something like that, why would you release the guy? Because that's illegal within itself. That is obstructing justice. You don't have to be involved in a conspiracy to... What the hell? Pre-collision assist. That makes no sense. That was fucking weird. I don't know if you guys heard that, but a notification just came up on the car, and it was blinking on the screen on the dash, red, with a picture of a car being crashed, and it says collision assist. I don't like that. That's my problem with these newer vehicles. They can be fucked with, or controlled by. All right, we're gonna roll forward. But he mentioned, weirdly, why would it matter? But I mean, in some ways it would. How did that old guy get there? Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's a big question along a lot of these people in question from our investigation. Like, I would like to know how Butch Hibbs got to the event, who he arrived with. I would like to know where he was from the 25th, August 25th up until then. Did he go on a road trip? Did he fly anywhere? Like, Nashville, Tennessee? Or outside of Nashville, Tennessee? Did he rent a car and go back? So, with all of that, I'm going to touch blowing up the narrative. Your narrative is you have a guy, a gay guy, who's in a relationship with a transferee who would apparently have to be some sort of ballistic savant, or having ties or capability of accessing 30-06 frangible rounds, getting into position. Well, we'll stop there. So that means the rounds that he had used would have had to come from law enforcement or military, pretty much confirming that someone had to help him. He would have had to have some sort of practice and training to take a shot after being winded by quickly getting up on the roof. The site of the event wasn't openly revealed until fairly close to the event. Well, if that's the case and he knew where it was leading up to the event, that means someone helped him or told him where the event was going to be. He is winded taking a shot at a tent that was purposely placed off center. But why? You have the fact that split seconds after what sounds like a gunshot or explosion, he is like seconds up and running. He hops off the roof with, let's just face it, no fucking rifle. But then you have the rifle appear in the woods or behind a chicken coop. You have him gallivanting around, supposedly texts his lover all of the evidence that they would need for a what's it called, a confession. You have a picture of what is the rifle leaked to someone that's pushing the narrative, and that would be oh my god, Steven Crowder, and it's not the actual rifle, completely different model. You have the picture of that on the news, not the real rifle, that his grandfather's rifle, a different modeled rifle on the news, and then his father texts him asking about grandpa's rifle when they are two different models. So obviously the father would know what the grandpa's rifle looks like, but they show them a different model of that same type of rifle, and he's worried that the different rifle is the rifle that the grandfather passed on. Okay. You have what else? What else am I missing? You have the fact that even if he did take the shot, it would have had to go through his face in order to get to the entrance point, if that was an entrance wound, which is a lot smaller for an which is oddly shaped and does not look like an entrance wound whatsoever. But there's no exit wound, because if you got shot with a 30-06, there would have been so much more gore than there was. Clearly. And even a 30-06 frangible would have done more damage than what I had posted at the end of my last video that Trigger Smart put on, which was a smaller caliber round, and would have left more damage. And still would have had to go through his face in order to get through his neck. They also do the 33 hours, which is, I'll put right here. 33 hours is a mark that all these cocksuckers put, excuse my language, put in their videos. I don't know if it's just to say, hey, I'm a part of it, or hey, this is in your face, fuckers. But 33 cases of COVID, 33 this, 33 that. They always use the 33.
In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and
today, and I say as of today at this hour, we have 33 confirmed positive tests for the virus.
Yesterday we had 22 cases. Today we have 33 cases, so it has gone up by 11. Those are 11 new cases. 22 goes to 33.
As we sort through this here in Arkansas, today we have 33 confirmed positive cases in Arkansas.
As of today, we have 33 confirmed cases with Boston residents. We expect those numbers to climb.
As of this afternoon, we have 33 Pennsylvanians who have tested positive for COVID-19.
So as of this morning, there were 33 confirmed cases in North Carolina.
Evening to you. Lots to get to tonight. I'm Leon Hendricks. We want to start with new information into our newsroom. Within the past couple of hours, there are now 33 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Michigan.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Richard Gearhart. Karina Corral has the night off. More cases of the coronavirus were confirmed today in San Luis Obispo County, bringing the total number now to 33.
Right now, Georgia is reporting a total of 99 cases in 19 counties. That is 33 new cases from just yesterday.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Swenson. More cases and more events affected. Here is the latest coronavirus news. There are now 33 cases in Louisiana.
As expected, the number of cases of COVID-19 jumps. A total of 33 people in our state have been tested and are confirmed to have the coronavirus.
Day 4 of the shelter-at-home order brought 6 new confirmed cases of the coronavirus to San Luis Obispo County, bringing the total number to 33.
All troopers will be professional, polite, and will treat everyone with dignity and respect.
These latest steps as the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Rhode Island jumps by 33 overnight.
And with 4 more deaths reported overnight, the death toll now stands at least 33.
The Ministry of Public Health has confirmed a batch of 33 new COVID-19 patients. Thailand now has an accumulated number of cases.
తెలంగాణలో కరోనా వైరస్ బారిన పడిన వారి సంఖ్య 33 పెరిగింది. నిన్న కొత్తగా 6 కేసులు నమోదయ్యాయి. ఇందులో ఒకరు కరీంనగర్కు చెందిన 23 ఏళ్ల విద్యార్థి.
The Ministry of Public Health has reported that the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Thailand remains at 33.
10 new confirmed cases have been reported in Malaysia, bringing the total now to 93. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said they were first and second generation close contacts of case 33.
Now, also, you have a sheriff friend who tells him to turn himself in so he doesn't accidentally get killed. So that's why he turned himself in with his family, was because he was afraid that as being the patsy, and patsies typically get killed almost 99.9999999% of the time. So yeah, I wouldn't blame him to turn himself in, especially if he is involved and he knows he is the patsy. Yeah, I would turn myself in too to make sure I don't die and maybe see my fair day in court. But the fact is the court is not even remotely, as far as to any of our knowledge, mentioning the fact that clearly there was no there's no bullet that entered Charlie Kirk on that same day. There's a lot of weird things happening today around me. Anyways, the narrative absolutely makes no sense, and the fact that they are pushing it from the very beginning and have been changing their story left, right, because it doesn't make sense, clearly indicates that they had a planned narrative. It fell through because the assassination worked but didn't go as planned, so they have to change some, still kind of run with it. They can't all fucking meet up now. Their meetings and all their planning took place prior to. You can't all meet up and start corroborating a new story together because it would be way too obvious. And obviously, if you're using a shape charge to kill someone, you have to have a patsy, otherwise it would be obvious who did it.
shape explosives and stuff like that. It's like,
and I know John Bray said the same thing, but I thought that very much well into this. Now I'm gonna move on because I don't want to spend too much time on the disapproving the narrative, because I will be putting in parts of Ian's stuff. So moving forward from that, we're going to talk about the shape charge.
shape explosives and stuff like that. It's like,
Now, I didn't catch this the first time I watched their video. And honestly, I do remember this report. I just kind of dismissed it because I didn't know what to fucking believe. I just knew what they were saying wasn't true. But there was tons of reports that not only was his chest caved in upon arrival at the hospital, but that there was witnesses that said they thought he got shot in the chest and that there was some blood shown coming from either the spot or underneath his shirt. Now, with the microphone, there is where the shape charges would have been more than likely made. There's a factory, and I know I've touched on this probably a few times already, but since we're doing this, we gotta mention it. There's a factory in Tennessee that blew up on August 10th. I'm sorry, October 10th. An exact month to the day later, or from the event. Now, Butch Hibbs lives in this city in Utah, where there's a small airport. There's an airplane that leaves on August 25th from that said airport and lands outside of where the factory is made on August 25th, the same day that order was filled from that factory that makes precision explosives. And it's a government contract nonetheless. And unfortunately, if we are to believe that Fort Huachuca did 100% take place and that there was collusion with people within our military and or government and or his security and or his friends, this government contract would be the one that made the device. And it's a rather small contract compared to most of their contracts as far as pricing wise. Now, would I think that it was one device that was made? Probably not. There was probably multiple devices made in that order. But you have an airplane that goes, a private jet that goes from that airport to Tennessee on the 25th, does not go back. Then Butch Hibbs shows up at the event with what looks like the same diameter and measurements of what would have been said device in his pocket. There's tons of pictures on oh God, it's escaping me. I have his link up, I'll put it up here, on his website, and also other pictures and videos of Butch Hibbs when he arrives in his pocket. And that device disappears as the event begins. He is seen afterwards with nothing in his pocket. Now, the pagers that were used by Israel, both of them using two different batteries, one with a ion battery and one, a typical AA, AAA style battery, and then a lithium battery, they were both functional. They were functioning pagers. So that would mean that the microphone on his chest was functional. And the lithium battery one, the second one that took place, left almost no residue or charring, which would also explain what we saw. And the battery, it didn't have to be all put together from the beginning until the end. That battery is what typically is where the shape charge is. They could swap it out at any moment. Touching Harpool's mention of chain of custody. And I think that's important. And it's obvious why they would need a patsy, because if it's a shape charge on his chest,
shape explosives and stuff like that.
It would implement not only Israel, more than likely, because they're famous for these big, intricate assassination plans and using those same type of devices, but also it would implement the people around him. There was also the fact that, and I will be putting in here, edited without the gore, obviously, for the sake of YouTube, that the cavitation and the movement on his shirt, all that preceded the wound. Long enough time frame than for what you would have from a bullet, because it would all be kinetic. But when you have something else triggering here, and then the cavitation would proceed well before, I mean, not well before, but longer till the wound happens. His body's physical response is also to be questioned, because and this is where we have had Barron's electrocution theory, severing of the brainstem, spinal injury, and Ian was going over the different types of body reactions, and then you have oh god, my handwriting's not only atrocious, but my spelling is, and now I can't. There was one type of posturing that would make the appendages clench up, and this is more than likely what happened. Now, it doesn't mean it can't have still been electrocution or tasered, which would explain the 2 dots on his arm, to correspond with each other to kind of make it look like the same type of response. But a brainstem injury would also explain that type of response, or a seizure. People get seizures from being startled, so that's quite possible. Now, you also have the software that we're going to be seeing in this video that John Bray had reconfigured, tracks pixel movement, and it maps out movement in between frames, and the red dots are the epicenters of movement and where they begin. So when you see the red as seen on screen, that is where the movement begins. So when you have movement beginning here and not here, that clearly indicates that something came off of here and ejected and went into his neck, whether it was a absolute puncture or a good enough slice that was deep enough for it to stick and then fall out. And instead of rendering care, they were removing evidence and disposing of behind the table. So we all know by now that there was a wound care taking place behind the desk. I still hold firm that there was a lot of handing off of things, because it looked like they were taking stuff off of him and handing it to people that were running off. Yes, someone did run off and go start the car and all that stuff, but it looked like there was a lot of quick movements to either pocket things or remove things off of him. And even down to what was also weird, that vehicle is being auctioned off so fucking quickly before any of this is over. That thing should sit somewhere and continuously be investigated and tested, but obviously that won't happen. Which also makes me question that... Oh, I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, I just wanted to catch up back where I had left off. So, John Bray had also mentioned that he wouldn't be surprised if there was 2 methods of assassination. I had said in my earlier videos that I believe the reason why he was assassinated the way he was with the shape charge, and just to use the patsy as a form of framing, is because of the failed attempts on Trump. The patsies that they're using And unfortunately, the patsies that they would use to frame are from the left. Now, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for some, people on the left are not really, well, for one, they're not gun people. Most of them are pussies. Sorry, not sorry. But 90% of them are not, familiar with firearms and would not be great shots. And because clearly they missed Trump on the first one and didn't even get around to taking a shot on the second one, you would have to, make a sure thing. Now, from what we are seeing, from the shape charge itself, almost failed. I mean, yes, it caved in his chest, if that is the truth. And yes, it punctured his neck, but we all believe, including myself, that it wasn't meant to go into his neck. That was an accident. And for them, a happy accident, but it was an accident. And clearly it was supposed to go into his chest. But because whoever detonated it either timed it wrong, or if it is Harpool, like I believe, wasn't looking and mistimed it. And because it was no longer sitting against his chest like it's supposed to, which would explain why Dan Flood and everybody made their signals when he was on his way back up to his seat, to sitting back, it wasn't. It was loose on his shirt. Now, another sure thing would be ungrounding the mic. It would explain, his body reaction. A carotid wound would not do that, but a shape charge would. I mean, electrocution would. And I will have to come back to this because I'm at my destination. All right, I figured I'd try to finish this video and so I can start editing. So it's a little bit of a different background, and I'm holding the phone, of course. But the sound of shape charges can range from what sounds like a loud firework to a very loud gunshot. And funny enough, a lot of people that witnessed it that day said that they heard what they thought was a firework, and some people even reported that they thought they heard 2 gunshots, like the 2 goth girls. And there was also the issue that we are starting to notice that people that were filming, the people that were closer to the speakers and the PA system, the gunshot sound sounded louder than people that were further away, meaning that the source, sorry, something fell in the garage, meaning that the source of the sound was closer to the speaker / PA, or the sound was played over the speaker or the PA. Let's see. There was also someone that was watching Ian's live stream that had mentioned that in the summer or sometime before September, someone had put there was a video on YouTube or on the internet showing shape charges, and that a wound from a shape charge are very similar to a 30-06 wound, which would mean that when this plan was devised, they clearly knew what it was going to look like, and then in exchange, clearly planned on the 30-06 being the blamed weapon, especially if it went through his chest. So Tucson going blah, blah, blah. There's also Barron's episode / just clear obviousness that the magic show in which Barron alluded to, people clearly, it was the attention wanted to be on the roof. They wanted people to see someone run into position, lay down, and then run away from the scene. There was everything that was first shown through TV, and that was easy for people that were there to see, was on purpose to hide the fact that the chest, that the shape charge was the actual murder weapon. I mean, that's pretty obvious. That's what they were going for, and they did a fairly well job, even after botching the whole thing. A fairly good job at directing our attention away from the mic. A lot of people, there were some people that came out initially with the theory of it, but most of us doing the initial investigation dismissed it because of several inconsistencies. So that was clearly the plan, but I don't think they expected obviously they didn't expect it to go into his neck instead of his chest, which would also help run us down this rabbit hole eventually, but also for Watuka and anything else happening, or being found out at least. And funny enough, I'm sorry, poor choice of words. My wife, a couple of months ago, prior to discovering the shape charge theory, when the plant exploded, my wife has a friend that lives close by where the plant was, out in Tennessee. And she had told me the story. I didn't even think anything of it. I just was like, well, I mean, someone was hiding something, or it was just an accident. I didn't even know it was an explosives plant, to be honest. So I'm going to be contacting a few people out that way to see if I can get any inside knowledge beyond what John Bray has found out, which was, first off, 16 employees inside the building when it exploded, unfortunately. I gotta find out if the new project manager was in the building, because as of now, we know that the the project manager that was in charge at the time of the said device being made, stepped down days after the assassination and is nowhere to be found. And that's whether he's dead, and he has no record of employment afterwards. So he could either be dead or living very well off. Because it's been a long time since he stopped working for them till now to just not have a job, which could imply that he got paid very well to be a part of this, or he stepped down because he found out, or he was able to piece together, and here we are, or he's dead. I just want to make sure I didn't turn off. Also weird about that was there was no major reporting on the explosion. I'm usually the first person to hear about things, and I only heard about it at the time from my wife, who didn't even see it on social media or anything. She just found out because of her friend, who literally lives within debris was, or there was something that she was telling me that her friend was close to it, or there was debris in their yard or something. I forgot what it was. And when I get in contact with this person, I will bring you more. But outside of that, there's no major reporting. The FBI, of all people, are on the case. And yes, I guess FBI should be on it, but I think ATF should be on that. But, with the FBI already hiding a lot of evidence and pushing the narrative, I think would be the last people I would want in charge of that type of investigation. But unfortunately, so they're not. But where am I? My notes, I'm sorry. I'm just jumping back onto this clearly from Change of Scenery, you should know. And like I said earlier, my notes are on envelopes that I had laying around the car because I didn't have a notebook with me. That's right. I wanted to know if the old manager had died, and that. So that's it with my notes. So there's also what I'm going to be looking into for the next one, because one of my next videos is I'm going to be tracking the flights and comparing all of the weird flights that revolve around this, including the SAM flights, that plane, the Egyptian planes. I've already alluded to the two of them lining up on some things, and almost missing, and the missing time, not missing time, but like the gaps in between flights are on other ones. We already had discovered that, I believe it was with Barron, that he showed that with all the Egyptian flights, all the private jets, when one is out of commission, not running, the other ones are running, and vice versa. And I noticed that same pattern matches up with that SAM flights. They completely match up. So when on my timeline, because I wanted to see if any of those Egyptian planes were going to or from any of the cities that SAM plane was going, because even though it wasn't marked as SAM and it was marked as Reach or Venus, their numbers still lined up. So it would be like SAM 781, and then the next day, when it would leave that location to the next, it would be Reach 781, and even the Venus 781, or whatever it was, the number was. But the numbers stayed consistent, and then the names didn't. And I noticed that some of these private jets would fly into the same cities, maybe not the same airport, but airports close to, or when the SAM flights were going in and out of DC, the private jets were in Wilmington, Delaware simultaneously. And if you know geographics, or if you're from the States, East Coast, or if you're familiar with the area, Wilmington, Delaware isn't too far from DC, or Fort, I think it's Camp Springs, which would be Fort Andrews, or Air Station Andrews, which is in DC. They're within driving distance, and the time gaps in between the flights are not unreasonable to land at Fort Andrews in DC, drive over to Wilmington to meet whoever was flying into Wilmington from that flight. So there's that. But I'm going to touch more on that on a separate video, because there's a lot of consistencies with these flights. And I know that Ian has been doing a lot of tracking. He's not even though obviously leading up to and during and shortly after are the most important to this investigation. It's telling to what's happening and maybe help us predict what's to come. I also want to do a video on these two separate tragedies that happened. Whether I'm not sure if people died or not, but the one in, I think, Melbourne, and the shooters, and how they're quick to blame terrorists, but it's coming out very quickly that they're Israeli or Zionist. And we already know that they're no stranger to false flags, and it's very obvious with how many people are actually on the ball with investigating this stuff now, that they're not going to get away with this shit anymore. So I want to start touching on that, because I'm not going to lose sight of the investigation, but like I try to explain to the normies who don't really follow this shit because they don't see the relevancy, it's all connected. And as much as this is seems like it's deep and doesn't concern us, because I was also sitting with a active duty Marine over New Year's Eve over at a friend's house. I was just shooting the shit over the investigation and how I'm trying to contribute to the investigation. He alluded to that, I don't follow politics, I don't really care what's going on, I just care about what's relevant. And unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people live. And that was the purpose why I started this channel, was because I have a lot of people that I know that live lives like that, and also I have a lot of people that are unfortunately caught up in the matrix, for the lack of a better word. So their algorithms feed them all the bullshit from the left or /right or whatever the case may be, and the truth is getting lost in translation. And that was the whole purpose of my channel, is so that I could personally outreach people that I know, so that maybe if they see a familiar face, they actually might get interested in the truth. Because I know how easy it is to just be like, I don't fucking care about any of this shit because it doesn't concern my life. But unfortunately it does, because the people that are involved in this run the fucking world, and the people that run the world, the more they can get away with, the more they get ballsy with what they do. And then they suck us into fucking wars, and they suck us into they murder innocent people on U.S. soil. So the more we know, the more people know, the more we let them know that we fucking know, and that we're not going to continue to let it happen, the less likely that they will do shit. But also, it kind of backs them into a corner. And also, the more we shed a light on this, the more we can do about it, and the more people will be able to stand up and say enough is enough. So I know it sounds like very crackpotty, but it fucking matters. It all fucking matters. And that's why a simple guy like me, a father of 5, and just a guy who works a 9 to 5, is doing this, because it fucking matters. So I think that's everything I need to touch on as far as the explosive. and disproving the narrative up until now. More is to come. I want to do more videos like this just to break everything down, catch everybody up to speed. I have posted the day after New Year's. What was today? The day after New Year's. Today's the day after New Year's. I posted on New Year's Day. Well, later on New Year's Day. No, I'm sorry. No, that was a different video. I'm sorry. I'm not quite all the way back in here, and I keep looking over to the side of my screen because that's where the time is, and the camera's on this side of my screen, so it looks goofy. But I did 2 videos ago. I did a rundown and a summary of where we are up to now, and then as you can tell by this video and the videos to come in between current updates will be explaining with proof and fact so that you could be on the same page as us. So stay free, everyone. It's a new year. It's the beginning of a new year. So let's put our foot down and get shit going. All right, take it easy.
Why would someone go through the effort of this and not have a means to cover it up, right? If they killed Charlie with a loaded microphone bomb, everyone would know who it is. So that kind of opened up the idea that they would need a patsy.
Accurate energetic systems produced this explosive, this extra small anti-personnel explosive that was delivered, that was contracted on May 1, delivered on August 25. And then Charlie Kirk dies on September 10. And by October 10, this place is toast. And when I say toast, I mean, it was an explosion that was so massive, it was felt by people who live near me 60 miles away. 60 miles away, people felt this explosion. It wiped the plant off the map. Nothing is left. Literally nothing's left. You look at a picture before, you look at a picture after, nothing is left. They had previously been fined, and because one of the explosive materials they were using, called cyclonite, was not properly stored, and it was landing on people's skin, and it was causing them seizures. That cyclonite is so dangerous is, if it gets into the soil, it doesn't break down. It's very soil mobile, they call it. So once cyclonite is present in an area, you would not want that soil to be accessible. You might want to pave over the site, for example, if cyclonite had exploded in a given area. You wouldn't want kids at a college, for example, laying around in a courtyard that has cyclonite in it. You would want to make sure you've paved over that area or you've dug it up.